What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is OCD Movie Reviews. My name is On the Brinkat, and today I'm going to review the latest supernatural horror film, and that film is Lee Cronin's The Mummy. This movie is written and directed by Lee Cronin, and this movie stars Jack Reynor, Laia Costa, and Calamawy. A young daughter of a journalist disappears into the desert without a trace. 8 years later, the broken family is shocked when she returned to them. However, what should be a joyful reunion soon turns into a living nightmare as she starts to transform into something truly horrifying. So we got the latest horror film that came out, and we have a new monster film coming out. And yes, this is another modern take of the Universal monsters that we have seen. We had one with Roofman, we had one with Frankenstein, and now we have The Mummy. And no, before you go excited, this is not a continuation of the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies. That movie is still happening. This is a completely own movie. But this is a original Mummy movie that is written and directed by Lee Cronin, who directed A Hole in the Ground, which I have not seen but I heard really good things about. But the reason why I'm really excited for this film is that he also directed Evil Dead Rise, which I really do love. I thought that movie is one of the better Evil Dead movies that came out in a while. I think it's a lot of fun, and of course I cannot wait to see Evil Dead Burn this year. But I really enjoyed Evil Dead Rise, and that's why I'm one of those people that's really excited for this film. See how he tackles on with The Mummy. And the trailers really do impress me. This movie looks very creepy, it looks very gross and eerie, it looks very disturbing. And you know, Blumhouse is a pretty mixed bag horror company at some point. They have made some good movies, they have made some bad movies. So where does Lee Cronin's The Mummy go into that category? I would easily say, guys, that Lee Cronin's The Mummy was pretty disappointing, and I was literally walking out of this film going, this film should have been so much better than it actually presented. Is this a terrible movie? Absolutely not. I would say this movie does have positives, and there are some impressive positives when it comes within this film. Easily the biggest positive that I would give this movie is absolutely Lee Cronin's direction. When it comes to the practical effects, the grossness of this film is gory and eerie as shit. There is a lot of gross practical effects in a really good way. There is a lot of disgusting scenes in this film that literally got me on the edge of my seat the entire freaking time. And I think the horror aspects that Lee Cronin does with this film, he does a really good job. I wouldn't say this film is jump scare fest or as scary as I wanted it to be, but when it comes to the horror scenes and the possession scenes, it's very entertaining to watch. And I would say Lee Cronin's cinematography and some of the camera shots in the film are very unique in this film. So definitely the atmosphere of the film, the cinematography, the practicality effects really work well in the film, and I think that's what Lee Cronin does a really good job with in this film. And Jack Reynor and Laia Costa does a really good job in the film as these concerned parents when they brought their daughter Katie home after 8 years of missing. You know, you feel feared for them throughout the film, and I think the performance is very suitable enough in the film. But I gotta say, the girl who plays Katie in this film is excellent in this film. She is so creepy in this film. She is very terrified in this film. There are some really awesome scenes when it comes to Katie in this film. It looks like she definitely had a lot of fun playing this role. There are some really good outstanding scenes when it comes to Katie herself, which is definitely the biggest standpoint of the film, so that's definitely a big positive there. And I'll say the makeup and the practical effects they put on the actress who played Katie in the film is really well effective as well. I also like Calamawy in the film. I don't know if I said her name right. I apologize if I pronounced her name wrong. She plays this detective in the film that's investigating what is happening to Katie. I think those aspects are the best thing about this movie. The whole mystery aspect of what happened to Katie in the film is really well done, and I think her performance in the film is definitely the best part of the film, and I think she is the most interesting character out of all the characters in this film. So definitely the atmosphere of Lee Cronin's The Mummy is great when it comes to the cinematography, when it comes to the horror sequences. It's definitely entertaining to watch. But how about the story though? And I feel like that's when the biggest flaw comes into the film. It is literally not a Mummy movie. It's literally not the Mummy type movie. It's literally a mixture between Evil Dead and The Exorcist. This film is basically a possession film that we've seen so many times before. So there's nothing really too original about this film, which I was really disappointed about, because when I saw the trailer of this film, I'm like, alright, I'm interested where they're going to take with it. But throughout the film, it's basically a possession film with some mummy elements in it, with some Evil Dead aspects where he brought in from Evil Dead Rise. And like I said, those aspects when it comes to the camera shots and all that stuff, it works throughout the film. But the story is literally like, yeah, we know exactly what's going to happen, we've seen it many times before. The only great part about the story of the film is the whole mystery about what happened to Katie, and definitely the results of what happened to Katie in the film, which I'm not going to spoil, is disturbing. And I like the way they brought that out. But throughout the film, it's literally like, yeah, it's a possession film. It's kind of like an excuse to be like, oh yeah, let's make Evil Dead meets a possession film that you know exactly what's going to happen, but put a bit of mummy elements, and let's call it The Mummy to make it kind of new and original within it. Because this movie doesn't tackle on the lore of The Mummy in general. And I was just watching this film going, yeah, there's just nothing too original or new about it. It's just another girl being possessed. The parents are very concerned in this movie. And speaking of the parents of the film, I do think their performances are great, but the decision making by them is so dumb in this film. Right when they saw Katie 8 years later and she's acting so different, of course the doctor's like, oh, let's just bring them home. And of course they listened. They brought her home. Then a couple of scenes later when she goes crazy, the dad's like, oh, maybe we should take her to a place. The mother's like, no, we have to look after her. We have to do that. And I'm just like, oh my god, the decision making when it comes to this film is so freaking dumb. And of course you don't feel sympathy for all the characters in the film because each character in the film does a dumb decision after another, to the point where you're like, you root for Katie to basically fuck them all up, which he shouldn't. You should root for the characters to basically sort the situation out, but the decision making with the characters are so dumb in this film that I literally facepalm throughout some elements of the film. Also, another biggest issue that I have with this film is the pacing. This is a completely long film to make it as a cliche possession film that we've seen many times before. This is like 2 hours and 15 minutes long. And throughout the middle of the film, you definitely feel this runtime. This film does drag and drag through on. Especially if you know that this film is literally something we've seen many times before, you don't really care about the story, what's going to happen, especially throughout the pacing throughout the film. And that's what really dives down Lee Cronin's The Mummy, is the story. You know exactly what type of movie this is when you saw the movie. It's another possession film meeting Evil Dead and making an excuse that it's trying to be an original mummy movie. And there are some interesting aspects of the film, not saying this film is like literally a shot-for-shot remake or anything of The Exorcist or anything. It's just another excuse for a possession film that we've seen many times before, but they just put on The Mummy in it to be like, yeah, this is kind of new. This is kind of original. So overall, guys, Lee Cronin's The Mummy is very disappointing throughout. I do think Lee Cronin does a really good job with the horror aspects, the technicality, the grossness, practical effects. Those aspects are really well done in the film, and the performances are really good in the film. I'll give this film credit. But unfortunately, the story of this film, there's nothing too original, nothing canny about this film. It's literally something that we've seen a lot of times before. It's literally, like I said, Evil Dead meets The Exorcist. It's not really much of a mummy movie, which I was really disappointed throughout it. There's a lot of dumb decision making in this film. This film is not as scary as I want to be. It's more disgusting and eerie. Even though I said this film is very disappointing, I do appreciate what Lee Cronin does with this film and trying to do something with this film, especially when it comes to the technicality aspects and the practical effects. Unfortunately, the story of the film is where the film really dives down, and I wish this film could have been so much better than it actually presented. And it is literally a film that I can easily forget about in a couple of days, which I was so let down by saying that. But I'm still interested to see what Lee Cronin does next when it comes to his films, because he should still direct horror films, because I think he does a really good job at directing. He just needs to do a little bit better with the writing, because this movie didn't bring out anything that's new. It's another possession film that we've seen many times before, but they just put The Mummy in the title to try and make it something new and different. So I appreciate the effort, I appreciate the trying for this film. Unfortunately, this film could have been so much better than it actually is. I would absolutely say for Lee Cronin's The Mummy, I would sadly say just go skip this movie. So guys, that is my review for Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Let me know what you think of this film in the comments below. Do you like the film, hate the film, or you thought it's okay? Just let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below. Keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel, notify for my latest movie reviews and other movie related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day.